we're going to restrict users from applications by configuring a group policy within Server 2008. Note that the server must have previously been promoted to a domain controller so that you can create organizational units and their corresponding policies. So let's get started. Step one, we want to access the Windows Server, and I'm running Server 2008 right now in a virtual machine. And you want to open up your MMC if you have one. If not, you want to create one so that you can keep all of your snap-ins all nice and organized. So here's my MMC. It's called Console1, default name. Double-click that and bring it up. And you can see I already have computer management snap-in, a group policy management snap-in, and a marketing policy that I created previously for my marketing OU. In this lab, we're going to be working with the accounting department. So first thing I want to do is I want to add the Active Directory Users and Computers snap-in, otherwise known as ADUC. We'll go to File, Add Remove Snap-in. And I'll scroll over here. And you'll see here, Active Directory Users and Computers. Going to highlight that, click Add, and then click OK. That adds it to my MMC. I'm going to expand Active Directory Users and Computers. And you'll see inside here I have a domain called dpro3.com. Your domain might be a different name. It could be whatever you want. That's just the name that I selected for my domain on this particular local area network. Next, we want to create a new organizational unit. So I'm going to right-click on the domain, I'm going to select New, and go down to Organizational Unit, otherwise known as an OU. That brings up the new object, Organizational Unit window, and I'm going to name that Accounting, and click OK. When I click the plus sign for the domain, you'll see that the Accounting OU is now created. And you can see that the folder icon is slightly different than other folders. If you see this icon, then you know it's a organizational unit or domain controllers unit, we could call that. And it's not just a typical folder. So now this accounting OU, this is where I'm going to store computers that are in the accounting department and the actual users. Also, I can apply specific policies to just the accounting OU that will not affect other organizational units or the domain in general. So to do that, I can create a new policy and add it to the MMC at the same time. To do that, I'm going to go to File, Add Remove Snap-in, and scroll this over a little bit so I can see. We'll scroll down to the Group Policy options, and what we want to select is Group Policy Management Editor. We're going to click Add, and that's going to ask what group policy object we want to add. Well, we haven't created one, but we can do that within the next window and add it to the MMC in one shot. In this respect, it's a little faster than the 2003 server version of this lab. So I'm going to click Browse, and what we want to do is create the policy for the organizational unit in question. Here's the OU I want to create it within. It's called Accounting, and you always have the domain name on the end. So accounting.dpro3.com. I'm going to double click that to open it. Now I'm in that OU, and I'm going to highlight this middle button here, Create New Group Policy Object, and we'll click that to create a new GPO. And again, you can name these really whatever you want. I'm going to call this ACCT-policy. Press Enter. That creates the policy. Now it's a blank policy. It's just based off of the normal template that policies are created off of, just like the default domain policy or the default domain controllers policy. Later, we could add security templates to boost the level of security for that policy, but I'm just going to leave it as the standard default policy for now, and we'll make 2 modifications later in the lab. So I've created a policy. I'm going to click OK. That lists the policy here. We'll click Finish, and that adds it to the MMC, to our list of snap-ins. We'll click OK for that window, and there it is. So we've created the OU within our domain, and we created the policy, accounting policy, within the OU. Next, we want to configure the policy. So we expand the accounting policy, or whatever name you gave to your policy, and we want to navigate to user configuration, then policies, administrative templates, and system. Directly inside system, you're going to see a couple of policies that I want to work with. The first is run only specified Windows applications, and the second is don't run specified Windows applications. And I'll scroll this over a little bit here. And you can see that right now none of these policies are even configured. It's just a blank template. There's really nothing, no configuration going on. So I'm going to make those configurations now. So I want to disallow an application and not allow the accounting group to use that application. For this example, I'll say Microsoft Word. For some reason, I don't want the accounting group to use Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go to Don't Run Specified Windows Applications, double click that, and you'll see right now it's not configured. I'm going to enable that policy, and then I'm going to click Show, and I'm going to click Add to add the applications that I do not want the accounting people to use. For example, Microsoft Word. Now to do this, you have to put in the executable for that program. Microsoft Word's executable is winword.exe. So we'll type that in and click OK. And we could add more applications if we wanted to. We could make a whole list of applications that we don't want the accounting group to use. That's just one example. I'll click OK for that, and click OK for the policy, and you'll see here now that it's enabled. But it might be easier for you if you have a group of users and you only want them to access a couple of different applications. It might be easier to just specify what those applications are. And that's done with the Run Only Specified Windows Applications policy. So we'll double click that one, click Enabled, click Show, and then we'll add the list of allowed applications. At that point, once we do that, the accounting people will only be able to use those applications and no others. So I'm going to click Add. And what do accounting people use? Well, one of the most common tools is Microsoft Excel, or other spreadsheet software like it. So I'm going to type in excel.exe because that's the executable for that program. Click OK. It adds it to the list of allowed applications. I might also add Internet Explorer or a couple other applications that they use. We'll click OK for that, and click OK for that policy, and now it's enabled. That trumps this policy. So we don't really need this policy anymore. I'm going to set it as not, actually I'm going to disable it altogether since I already made a configuration in there. And this way I'll leave that configuration. If I want it later, I could use it. But this one's going to take over now. Only Excel can be used by users that are members of the accounting organizational unit. So there you have it. That's how you can modify a basic policy within 2008 Server. And again, what we did is we created an organizational unit called accounting. We created a policy that's linked to that organizational unit, and we made a couple simple modifications to that group policy. When you're done, we should save that information so that the MMC is all saved for you. So next time we open the MMC, it'll bring us right to this location. It remembers everything we did and everything we added. So that's about it for this lab 4-2. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those at my website. Take care.